Okay, so instead of doing a ranking video, because I've never really done them, I'm just going to continue my top 5 videos, and there's only 5 Devil May Cry games, if you didn't know. So we're going to rank them and talk about, unfortunately, putting one of them that I absolutely hate on this list. So, without any further ado, let's get on with the top 5, or the only 5, Devil May Cry games, and in order, which is the best. If anybody in the world has something different at the 5th position, I don't understand you. Devil May Cry 2 is actually the only bad game on this list. This game is legitimately horrible. This game, let me tell you a little story, because I love to do this. Back when I was 13 or 12 or however old I was, I bought this game with my own money. I put it in my PS2 and I was like, what is this? And then I beat it the same night because it's so short, and it's just a gigantic piece of pile of shit. I hate this game. So what's wrong with this game? Because people always say, well, you never say what's wrong with it. Well, the graphics are ugly and muddy. They just are. They are very ugly in this game. Everything looks like it's smushed together. 2, the level design is terrible. You're going through these boring as heck levels. Like, everything always looks the same. It's like these old ancient house looking things that you're walking through. It's just terrible. And then the third thing is the story is so bad. And now none of the Devil May Cry stories are great, but this one is awful in terms of it makes no sense to have Dante totally shift his attitude. So instead of shooting out one-liners and being all hip and cool, he basically doesn't say anything, and when he does, it's terrible. And last but not least, and this is the worst thing, the game just ends abruptly. You go to hell and that's the end of it. I mean, the game is just a pile of shit. It really is one of the worst games. It was on my list of top 5 worst sequels, but it's the worst Devil May Cry game. Unfortunately, it's still the 5th Devil May Cry game, or it's the out of the 5, so I had to put it on my top 5. But I begrudgingly put this piece of shit on my top 5. So there we go. Next up is Devil May Cry 4. Now, Devil May Cry 4 is a special game. When I first got it, I really loved it. But as I played it repeatedly throughout my life, and I played it so many damn times now, it just gets a lot worse as it goes on. The story is not that good. Like, it starts off very interesting and then ends up being a pile of shit in the story department. However, I do, for the most part, still love the combat. I think it's fast-paced, fun as heck, and everything, but the level design is a huge fault. Basically, midway through the game, you play as Dante and have to redo entire levels that you already played with Nero? Is it Nero? Yeah. And it's just, it's just a pain in the ass. And then it's just not really that engaging when you play it over again. And that's bad, because every game that I've played for Devil May Cry, I played over and over and over again and enjoyed it just as much the first time. And then this is the only one I didn't. So it's still a good game, definitely a good fun game to play through once, but it lacks the replayability and it lacks a story that I actually care about. I'm putting DMC in the spot number 3 because it's almost tied with another game, which is going to be my spot number 2. But it is a fun game, and I know a lot of people don't like it because of the change of Dante and the change of all that. I've made many videos previous to the title's releasing of saying, chill out, let's see how the game is. And for the majority, if people aren't super attached to the original Devil May Cry, I actually had fun with this game. I certainly did, and I have an attachment to the old games. Devil May Cry was the first game I ever owned on my PS2, and I love it. But I really like DMC. I like the level design a lot. I thought it was very cool and twisted, loving all the different weird hell-like worlds and angel-like world type things going on. I also really dug the story. I thought the voice acting was much better than previous titles, and that was a big plus for me because I'm a big story fan. And I also really did like most of the boss battles. I thought they were a lot of fun. The game did suffer from kind of limited combat in a lot of sense, and they had one of the things I hate the most when games or action games do, is have color-coded enemies, so you have to do a certain combo to kill them. Things like that really kind of brought it down for me, and an otherwise really fun time I had, and I played it twice, and I plan on playing it a third time on the PS4 eventually. So overall, I thought it was a fun game. It's actually worth replaying, but it's not the best Devil May Cry, so let's go on. Judgment Nice. Listen, Devil May Cry 1 is legendary status for me simply because it's one of the games that got me into gaming. It is super fun. It's fast-paced, gothic experience, over-the-top cheesy one-liners, bad voice acting, great level design, and it just was really fun. It felt a very hybrid. It was a hybrid because it was more like a Resident Evil game, and that's what it eventually was, with combos and stuff. The camera shots, the angles and everything made it feel like that. But even more so, it just had that eerie, dark horror feel that the other games kind of really lost as they went on. They contained like goriness and over-the-top disgustingness, but it didn't have that horror gothic feel that the first one had. And yes, the first one also had good combat at the time. It was very different and kind of made fast-paced combat a thing again. And also, one of the things I did love is that it's so over-the-top, bad, cheesy one-liners made the game memorable. And the last title is Devil May Cry 3. Listen, I have problems with Devil May Cry 3. I think that it's a little corny, and I know a lot of people really love the story. I think it's, you know, the voice acting doesn't help it and stuff like that. But overall, as a package, Devil May Cry 3 is one of the best action games of all time. The level design, near perfect, because it's not too long, not too short. Every level has its own feel. Every boss has its own, like, way of fighting that made each encounter both scary because you might die, but also engaging because it was just so different than the last one you fought. Another thing I absolutely love was the level up system in terms of getting combos and weapons, which is in the previous, but it felt like you actually earned it here, and every weapon had its good and bad, which some that the other previous styles before did not have. And last but not least, and this is a big thing, there were some great fucking character fights and story in this. Yes, the story was cheesy and over the top, no doubt, but there were some amazing scenes. I will never forget the scene when he's fucking falling down from the sky, cutting open that worm. I'll never forget the scene of him fighting his brother and Virgil fucking killing him, basically. There's so many great scenes and memorable scenes that this game just will never leave your mind in terms of that. But on top of that, the combat was fast-paced, it was beautiful, it was the best of its time, and it's still one of the greatest games out there, definitely for action games, so it has to be my #1 on this list. However, everybody has different tastes, and I want to see your list of top 5 Devil May Cry games, which basically means just break down what's your worst and best in the list below. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this list. If you want to see more, let me know what top 5s you want to see. If you love me, though, hit that subscribe button. If you like me, hit the like button. Everybody have a good day. And I keep wanting to say happy 4th of July, but it's not even near it. I don't know why I keep saying it. Goodbye. I got to go to work.
I can already tell. Looks like this is gonna be one hell of a party!